Hello and welcome back to the Stronghold. I'm the Magi, and you know what time it is, and we're gonna get our midweek magic on. This week's midweek magic is the new classic Brawl, or as some people call it, Standard Brawl. It's somewhat inspired by the EDH Commander format, as it is a singleton format, and you do have a commander which primarily will exist in your command zone when not in play. However, it remains a 60 card, very budget accessible format that only draws upon the standard card pool as opposed to the much more vast commander card pool. I personally like Brawl and think it's very well positioned right now because, well, all of us have our favorite formats that we play from time to time. But whether it is an alchemy heavy summer season or a somewhat stagnant standard environment, or maybe a ban and restriction or rebalance that Wizards of the Coast just has not answered our prayers for just yet, sometimes our everyday can get a little bit stale, and Brawl is the perfect answer to break up that monotony, and I am so glad to see it in Midweek Magic this week. But before we get into all that, allow me to do the awkward thing and promote the channel. A while back, one of my viewers was kind enough to point out that we are the only channel putting out timely midweek magic content. So be sure to subscribe right here at the Planeswalker Stronghold for all of your future midweek magic needs, because we will be bringing you a deck list or strategy every single week. So what do you say we put all this aside and just get to that? Now, because we are just at the fringe beginning of the 2024 season, I started off this midweek magic analysis by looking at all of the potential commanders that we were guaranteed to have as part of our 2024 starter collection. And that list was far more extensive than I expected it to be. I think it was in excess of 20 commanders, plus several more if you wanted to look at Historic Brawl, but that's a story for another day. I started off by picking 4 that I thought would make ideal potential commanders, and then another 5 that I put before our Patreon panel, and they selected a commander that they wanted to nominate, and my 4 and their 1 were put before the community, and the results are what you see here today. We have 2 potential commanders in Glissa and Gix that received more than their fair share of votes, and I am going to be presenting both of those decks today. In fact, I'm going to be building the decks that you see primarily from exclusive 2024 starter collection included cards, so that these are very, very accessible. And in fact, let's take a look at Glissa from the very beginning, build the deck together, and look at exactly how a deck like this comes together from a budget-friendly limited card pool. But not to worry, if Glissa isn't exactly what you're wanting to play, we're going to have Gix for you as well over on Aetherhub, plus all of the Brawl decks that we built over the last year for the 2023 season that are still perfectly legal, both now and post-rotation. We are going to be looking at Glissa, and once it loads here, and I'm going to have to go in and say not collected, because this is part of the 2024 new player experience that a lot of players just don't have yet. But we're going to be building around Glissa Sunslayer. I think this is probably one of the best commanders in the 2024 starter decks. I think this is probably a shoe-in to win some of the conversations about this going on within my community at the moment. Now, again, we've got this filtered out, and what I'm going to do, I've actually got a list, since they haven't given me the deck yet, of all of the cards in the black-green deck, and I'm just going to go through and start adding those into our deck here. Of course, you only get one of each, but that's okay. We can work with that. That's the whole point of Brawl, is you don't need 4 copies of things. It's pretty accessible. We are looking now at the Blanchwood Prowler. I think this is one of my favorite commons from Brothers War, even though it was green. And that wasn't a card that I went to. A card I'm a little less big on is Wary Thespian. And I don't know, is that... that should be in my pool here, but somehow we went back to that. Okay, I guess it only did that on the commander, but hey, that's okay, easy fix. Let's see, Vanquish the Weak. Let's grab a copy of that. Oh, neat, I have a very old copy there. Actually, several old copies, but none of the new ones. How funny is that? Which of these arts do I like better? Well, I think when in doubt, you have to go with pirate ship art, right? That's one of my unwritten rules here. Let's see, we've got a good old Burrowing Razor Maw. Again, not a favorite card, but it is part of the new player experience, and it does kind of fit the theme of the deck. So we will go with that. And let's see, Gigamole, another fantastic card from Limited. Let's see, Terror of Tawashi, maybe? I guess that's how you're supposed to say that. Another card that I don't own because they haven't bothered giving it to me yet. Not that I'm bitter about that at all. Let's see here. Conduit, not Conduit. There we go. There's good old Conduit of Worlds. Honestly, I'm not sure that's a card that's going to make the final cut, but we will see. And then, of course, we need the good old Skyfisher Spider. That is just a fantastic creature / removal for us. Of course, we do have to cut out the alchemy cards, like Sorin the Necromancer. Let's see, we do want some Courtiers in here of the Gaia Persuasion, and a little Death Bloom Ritual as well. Let's see here, there we go. I think Gargantuan, Phyrexian Gargantuan is legal. Spelling, it's such an important thing. Wow, that's another card I don't have. How crazy is that? Now for lands, we can, instead of typing them in, we can just kind of jump ahead here, and we want a copy of Deathbroom Glade, and a Jungle Hollow, and a Land of War Waste, which ironically I never got a copy of so far. So that is 39 of our 60 cards. So we need to add in 11. And to do that, actually what I'm going to do is go back to my other new player experience lists from the 2024 collection and kind of strategically pepper in those other 11 cards. Like Skeleton, I think that is good old Skelly. We don't need lands anymore. Where is my Sanctuary Skeleton? Oh, that's from New Player Experience. Haha. We can't add that because it's only legal in Alchemy. But Ashnod, on the other hand, is a pretty interesting one-drop rare. I think we want some of that in there. Ashnod's Intervention. Is this something we want? Until end of turn, target creature gets +2/+0. When it dies, put it from exile. Put it into exile from the battlefield and return it to its owner's hand. Yeah, I think that's not a bad thing to add in here. Do we have, while we're looking at it, Harvester? I don't think this is in any of our lists, but we'll keep looking here. Final Flourish. Sacrifice an artifact or a creature. Honestly, I mean, this is decent removal. I don't think it's going to make the cut, though. Infiltrator, let's see here. This might. I mean, there's a lot of directions we could up going with this. Power Stone Fracture. Let's see here. I, of course, am working from the red-black Scrapyard Sacrifice list at the moment. Again, if we go with the sacrifice route, that could be pretty good. Vran, how's our boy Vran? Wait, cancel. That is VRAAN. There we go. There's our boy. When one or more creatures die, maybe. Okay, again, that could make it. Let's see. We want to take a look at Etch Familiar here. That could be pretty good. And the Dragon Engine. Oh, I have to lock in colorless there for that. Maybe. I am uncertain why this is not coming up. Yeah, I honestly am not getting that. Let's change this to alchemy for a second. That's not an alchemy card, is it? Oh, I believe it has a red color identity. I think that is what's going on here. So, so much for that. Do we want a Testament Bearer? Let's see here. Yeah, I think that kind of fits, and I do want to go back in here and change this back to standard Brawl before we forget. And it dropped away my Glissa. There we go. All back to normal. All right, so we're up to 47 just by kind of filtering through one list here, and maybe the Sangir Connoisseur is something we're interested in. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the list, and maybe we filter that out later. I'm not sure that dies trigger stuff is really what we're looking for. For the time being, though, let's take a look at the charge ahead. I think Cosmic Hunger is probably something we want. And Colossal Growth has color identity that doesn't work. Ravenous Sailback, not so much. Maybe Saruk? And his boy Goreclaw. I mean, this, it doesn't exactly fit, but it's an extremely powerful card. So we are going to go ahead and add it to the list here. And maybe it'll make the final cut, maybe it won't. Let's see, Rebel Armory doesn't have anything to offer. Grave Secrets might have some black cards for us. Like Black Sun's Twilight, for instance. That looks pretty good. The Bone Cobbler is an alchemy card. Tribute to Urborg has an odd color identity. Let's take a look at Unseal the Necropolis here. Mills 3 cards. Yeah, that looks right on point there. Command. I think that's something we're going to want. Good old Gix's command. That is, without a doubt, very, very powerful. And let's take a look here at Breach the Multiverse. I don't think I had been aware that this was even in the 10 decks for the 2024 collection. Mill 10 cards. Player chooses a creature or planeswalker card from their graveyard. Yeah, this feels like a pretty solid include there. So having gone through about half of our list, we're up to 54 cards. Sylvan Wisdom, I'm not sure there's really going to be anything here to give us too much interest. Nisa is probably a thing we're going to want to do here. The Resurgent Animus. It doesn't exactly fall in, but it could with something like Conduit of Worlds give us a little synergy there. So that is something I'm interested in putting in. A lot of these cards are actually from Alchemy, from the Sylvan Wisdom list. Bite Down, however, is not. Let's go ahead and pull that up and throw that in there. You really almost can never have too much removal. And now we're just 4 cards away. And I want to look at Tribute to the World Tree. That feels like a card we're going to want in this list. And I know this is in the new player experience, the Quirion Beast Caller, so we are going to go ahead and drop that in as well. And now we're just 2 cards off. And what other list do we need to go through here? Maybe Legion, Growing Hope. Let's take a look at Legion first. What do we got here? Ichor Drinker seems like it might be a good, solid, generic 1-drop. I think I kind of like that. Grafted Butcher. What are we doing on this as far as Phyrexians? We do have 7 Phyrexians in the list, not the least of which is our commander herself. So let's take a look here. When it ETBs, Phyrexians gain menace. They get +1/+1. Yeah, that feels like something we are going to want to go in there. And that gets us to our 60. So anything else that we're adding, we're also going to have to think about cuts. Let's see here. Bloat. The old bloated processor here. Sacrifice a Phyrexian. Put a +1/+1 counter on the processor. That's a distinct possibility. I think I like the Phyrexian thing going on more than I do the sacrifice creature sub theme that we saw from I believe it was the red-black deck. What were the Glissa Sunslayer triggers? Draw a card, lose a life, destroy an enchantment, or remove up to 3 counters from target permanent. Okay, so none of those particularly synergize. I think I must have been thinking of the other Glissa. But here we've also got Gix. This feels like a card we need to include. And probably Phyrexian Arena as well. I think we can probably find some things to cut on that. Pile on as a rare piece of removal. Seems pretty good. Also got Convoke, making it easier to cast. And let's take a look here at Deadly Derision. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. And create a treasure token. Okay, so yeah, I think that's a viable possibility there, particularly if we do keep some of those sacrificial cards. Right now we are 5 cards over, so we will definitely need to figure out some things there that we are going to end up cutting. But I think there's enough fairly generic things here that we can find 5 or possibly more cards. Let's take a look at Growing Hope. I think Bushwhack is a solid inclusion here. Let's see here. Yeah, let's throw in the Bushwhack. Placid Rottentail feels a little specific, as does Othelus. The Quarian Beastcaller felt pretty good. Ruin Recluse, I think, is kind of mid. Trampler feels a little too specific, but the Comedy of Whispered Hopes here, I think this is probably something that works for us. Storm the Seed Core, not quite as much. Let's just be honest. And I don't think we can run Clay Champion, even though I would really like to, because it does have a white color identity. And what about Tatiana's Command? Let's take a look at her here. Exile a graveyard and gain life. Search a library for up to 2 land cards. Create some tokens or put counters. As much as I like this card in the green-white deck, I don't think it does a whole lot for us here. So I don't think we're going to add that in. Of course, we do want Command Tower in the list as Arcane Signet. So we will go ahead and chunk those in. That gives us 8 cards, I believe, to cut here. What is this? Yeah, that's 24 land. We can probably cut one of the land, go back to 23 might be viable, or we might just cut the another. But it's looking like we've got 8 cards we need to cut here. So I think that's everything with our other lists. And let's see here. I think there's another rare land I really want to include. Let me see here. You know what? Let's filter it this way. Let's go in like this. And I think Thran Portal is something we want to include, as is Plaza of Heroes. Those, I think, are some of the best lands out of the current standard environment that should probably always be in consideration. Excuse me. For any sort of Brawl deck consideration. I don't know that I would use wild cards for them just yet, because you're going to open a lot of packs here over the course of the next year if you are able to start purchasing the Mastery Pass, and that is going to provide a lot of these. But I do think that is a significant improvement to our mana base, and I wanted to take a look here at colorless spells, and you might not have these in your collection, and if you don't, I don't believe I'd use a wild card for them at this point. But Reckoner Bankbuster and Celestis are 2 generic colorless spells that are really quite good, and certainly things that you should consider at some point adding to your collection. Now, we have quite a bit of cuts to make with those additions here. I think we cut the Ashnod's Intervention, maybe Ichor Drinker. Let's see here. Final Flourish, I think, is a cut, and Infiltrator, I think, is a cut. The Butcher, I significantly like that. Powerstone Fracture, I think, is another. We've got quite a bit of good removal going on in this deck, I do believe. Brawn. Whenever one or more creatures you control die. Okay, I think we keep Brawn, at least for the time being. I think we keep Prowler. And Wary Thespian. I think that's something we can cut here. Bloated Processor might be pretty good. Etch Familiar is pretty good. Unseal the Necropolis seems to fit pretty well. Vanquish the Weak. I think this is a spell we could afford to cut. Burrowing Razor Maw, I think, is a keep for the moment. Nisa, Tribute. You know, I don't love Tribute for this deck because of the Triple Grain. I really don't. Gigamole, I think, is a good fit. Testament Bearer is not bad. Deadly Derision, I think, is something we cut. Terror. When you do return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield, it's a Phyrexian. Yeah, I think we keep that. Conduit of Worlds could be good with the amount of milling that we're doing. we're just down to a couple of cards here. I think Singular Connoisseur is something that we cut. And Gaia's Corsair, Corsair, I believe is our final cut there. And just like that, we have a Glissa Brawl deck. I think all in all the curve is pretty good. We've got 20 creatures. We got 6 instants, 4 sorceries, so we're a little heavy on those things. Most of our artifacts, I believe, are also creatures. We've got 1 enchantment and 24 lands. So I think this is a pretty solid place for us to start with these Brawl decks. And feel pretty good about the mana base too. I think this is doing a lot for us. Even missing a large portion of my new player experience. What are we looking at? 1 common, 1 uncommon, 6 rares, and 1 mythic. So that's pretty much all going to be covered by new player experience here. The only things that were recommended in this deck that were not going to be part of your new player experience is the Reckoner Bankbuster and the Celestis. And you saw we had many cards that could have been included to replace those without too much trouble. So I think this gives us a good place to start our Brawl conversation. I actually currently have a poll out to my Patreon supporters. They are picking a 5th deck to be considered for our Brawl commanders here. Obviously, Glissa is an auto include. I'm also leaning very, very heavily towards. Tell you what, why don't I pull that up? So yeah, we're looking at Mishra, Gix, Yawgmoth Praetor, and Azuri, Claw of Progress. That one's going to be kind of a tough build because so many cards out of that base deck are in fact alchemy based, so that one might be a bit of a challenge. And of course, as we said, Glissa. The other ones that are being considered by my patrons are Urbrask, Astor, Bearer Blades, Samut, Vizier, and Barel and Kirizeb. All of those good, strong possibilities. Another one I was kind of thinking about, and it just didn't quite make the list, was Rankle and Torburin from the new player experience. That one I actually eliminated because of the higher casting cost on it, not necessarily indicative of a commander. But that's the thoughts, that's where we're at. I think that's really all I'm going to be doing for today's stream. I apologize, it was kind of a short one here. But once again, thank you all for being here as always, and until next time, I'll see you in the arena. And hey, just in case you didn't catch all that, Matt would like you to know that the deck list that we discussed in this video is going to have a link down in the doobly-doo to take you over to Aetherhub, along with a link to any other alternative lists that you might wish to consider. He only asks that you give it a little thumbs up when you're over there checking out the deck list. And I plan on live playing this event on Wednesday at 11 a.m. over on my Twitch channel. So definitely stop in and check it out. Because the Stronghold is so much more than just a YouTube channel, and you can find links to all of our other social media outlets in our profile. Because at the end of the day, we're all budget players. And as a community, we're stronger together. So like, comment, subscribe, follow, do all those things to show a little love. It's appreciated more than you know.